Sup guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be making our gun shoot. So as a little recap, in the last video we set up a system where we can pick up a weapon, we can drag it into a slot, we can also drop it into the ground. If you go over here, you can drop it and you can pick it back up again, and you can equip it. And we also, at the start of the series, set up ADS mode, so we can aim down the sights and you can see everything working, replicating. So in this video we are going to basically able the gun to shoot. But first of all, I have imported the texture, and this is from the first person template. It's the crosshair texture. So when I aim down the sights, I want to basically get that texture. So let's go ahead into our widget and our HUD, and let's grab an image. Let's set it into the canvas panel, set it to the middle, and let's make the size 64 by 64 and the position to 32, actually minus 32, and Y 32, no, minus 32 as well, so it's exactly at the middle of the screen. And now this is going to be the crosshair texture that I imported, like that. So let's compile and save, and now you can see that is going to be always on the screen, which we do not want. So let's go into our HUD, and over here on our visibility, let's bind this. I'm going to call it bind underscore crosshair visibility, and well, we're going to get our new player. We're going to cast to where is the variable of we ADSing? Is our master human, right? Yes, it is. So we're going to need to get the controlled pawn, and then we're going to cast to, come on, cast to our master human. We can convert this to a pure cast, and let's get ADS. And well, this is going to basically we can do a switch. Actually, we can just do a branch, and if this is true, if the ADS is true, it's visible. Control C, Control V. If it's false, it's going to be hidden. So let's compile and save, and now you can see that it's already working without even equipping a weapon. So that's going to be fine. Now I'm going to want to do something. First of all, we need to go into our blueprints, and then items, and then let's go into our weapon details. I need to set something over here, because when I set this up, I add the recoil amount. I need a spread amount as well. So let's do this a float and call it spread amount. Let's save that. And now remember, you need to go into our master item and actually compile that so it appears on the child's. And let's just quickly go into our code, and let's change the details over here, weapon details, and let's set the spread amount. Now I'm not sure actually how this value is going to work, but it's going to be like the recoil. We're going to test it out when we're doing it. So let's set the 0.3 as well over here. It's going to be fine. And the weight, I'm going to set it back because I added a lot, which is 20. I want to put this actually I didn't check the real weight, but I'm just going to put 0.8. I think I added 0.8, I don't remember, but it's okay, doesn't matter for now. And now because we're going to make it shooting, I'm going to want to go into our static mesh over here on the weapon, and I'm going to add a socket. So I'm going to want to add a socket to our weapon. So let's go over here, down here, create socket, and I'm just going to call it MF for muzzle flash, like that. I'm just going to make it right here on the muzzle. That's going to be fine. Make sure that the red arrow, the X arrow, is pointing forward. Let's save that, and I think that's everything we need for now. What we need to do now, well, now we're gonna start doing our shooting. So first of all, we need to decide if you want to make projectile physics, or like just projectile firing, or ray trace firing, because this is a co-op game or a multiplayer, whatever, I find ray tracing or just tracing, line tracing, more efficient, because the maps are not going to be that big. Like, the focus of the game is not going to be on the actual weapons or firing physics as much as like the clans and stuff like that, and the environment. Projectile will be cool like for tactical shooters, and like Battlefield, you can see that they're long distances and you need bullet drop and stuff like that. So projectiles are cool for that, but they are a little bit inconsistent on the network, and line tracing is much more simpler to work with and more efficient and more accurate when you are working on multiplayer games. So I'm going to use line tracing for this game. If you want to make it projectile, the setup is going to be a little bit different, because instead of you need to spawn the line tracing, you need to spawn the actual projectile, and you need to check over, like, you need to create a projectile blueprint and stuff like that, which I'm not going to do. But you can look it up if you want to do it that way, because the basic stuff, like, you basically just need to substitute my line trace for a spawn projectile actor, basically. So yeah, that's basically it, but I'm gonna use a line trace for my end. So over here on the player controller, I'm gonna shoot with my left mouse button, and the first thing that I want to do is, well, I'm gonna check a branch, because I only want to fire when I'm ADS. So I'm gonna get the control pawn over here, and I'm going to cast to my master human, and I'm going to get ADS, and I only want to be able to fire when I'm aiming down the sights. So that's going to be it. And now, well, I'm just going to go into the master human and create our user, our normal to events. So custom event client underscore fire, or I guess shoot is better. And then let's do a custom event called server underscore shoot. And the way this is going to work is, I'm going to make a normal shooting over here, so like a semi-auto fire shot just from this blueprint, these events. And then the logic for actually the full auto fire, I'm going to do it on the player controller. And I will just call the normal shoot every time I want to shoot, because the code is rather simple, and basically I don't want to worry about replicating timers and checking if we have enough bullets and stuff like that. I just want to replicate the actual shot. That's why I'm doing the shot over here in the master human. And also, again, works well for when we have the AI, and we can just call this directly from the AI controller. So let's go over here, server shoot. And well, we're going to need to create a new parameter, which is going to be the weapon that we want to shoot, and it's going to be of the type details, item details. There you go. And also, we're also going to need a reference for our use weapon mesh. So weapon mesh, and it's going to be of the type static mesh component down here, not the actor, the component version. And I believe that's everything we need. If we need something else, actually I think we're going to need a reference to our controller as well. So let's just get the controller. Let's make it of the type player controller, because we're going to need to get the control rotation. No, I think we're actually going to need to get the camera, not the control rotation. You know what, let me substitute this for the camera. If we need to, we can create an input for each one, but I think we're only going to need the camera. So let's get a camera component over here, and it's the normal camera, not the cinematic one. And we're just going to pass this through the owning client. So let's do that. And now, well, we are going to go back into our player controller, and we're going to first of all, let's get the used weapon or the equipped weapon. I don't remember. Let's just get the weapon. It should appear. There you go. Get the equipped weapon. And now I'm going to need to break this, because I need to get the type of weapon. So let's drag from the type and type in switch on item type, and well, that's gonna be it. And now I'm gonna do, well, I'm gonna start with the semi-auto, because that's the pistol that I'm using right now as a testing weapon. And the semi-auto is just simple, well, no, fire a shot. So let's get from our master human. There you go. And let's do a client, shoot. Now you're going to need to get this. So the weapon is the equipped weapon. The weapon mesh, let's get that from our master human. Let's get the weapon mesh. And now we need to get the camera, and the camera that we want to get is, well, this one, which is the aiming camera. I'm just going to call it ADS camera, so it's a little bit easier to identify. And I'm going to get the ADS camera, which is going to be down there. There you go. And I'm going to connect that up. There, that should be it for connection. Now we need to actually do the code. So before we actually work on subtracting the ammunition and checking if we have enough ammo, let's just make it fire. So I'm gonna drag from over here, and I'm gonna do a line trace. Line trace by channel. So the start, we're going to get the camera, and we're going to get the world location from our camera. That's going to be where we want to start the trace, so it's basically where we are aiming from. And then the end, we're going to get the forward vector of the camera. And then we're going to multiply it, and it's going to be the range of our weapon. And well, basically, because our levels are going to be, you know, quite small, not that small, but we are not going to need to worry about if a weapon is in range or not. It's always going to be in range. So I'm just going to set a really high value over here. And if you want to limit your your range on your weapons, you can create a variable in your weapon details, the struct, and you can just pin that in from over here if you want limited range, but I'm just going to leave it like that, so it's kind of going to be infinite. And now to finish the end, you need to add a plus vector from the world location of the camera, and add then the new value from this multiply, and connect that into the end. And actors to ignore, well, you don't want to ignore anyone except ourselves. So I'm going to leave that here, and I'm going to draw a debug type for duration, so I just can see that this works. Now, because we are doing or calling the line trace on the server, the clients are not going to see the line trace debug. But yeah, I'm going to get the pistol, I'm going to equip it, I'm going to press 1, and now if I fire, you can see that the line trace is firing. The clients can't see this because this is only happening on the server. But if we get the client a weapon, and we equip it, for slot, equip it, now fire it besides the server, you can see that the line trace is also working. And we cannot fire if you're not ADSing. So now that that's working, let's get there. I'm going to disable for duration because I haven't told you guys from the beginning, but I imported, first of all, I imported some effects, blood effects that I have from the marketplace, and also the 101 muzzle flashes. So I got some muzzle flashes over here. I'm only going to be using one for now. Yeah, this stuff you can get from the marketplace. Okay, where was I? Okay. So I'm going to be using that to check, well, the bullet impacts, and if we are hitting someone, or we are actually going to use the effects to see if the system is actually working. So after we do this, we're going to do a breakout it. Let's break the it result, and first of all, we're going to get the it actor, and we're going to cast to master human. And these checks will be now for where we have, like, if we have mutants or something like that are not human, we're actually going to need to cast to those mutants as well from over here, because this is only going to return true to actually human characters. And over here is going to be very simple. We are just going to drag from over here and apply damage. And the damage base, we are going to get the weapon. I'm actually going to do some reroute nodes, so I can get over here. There you go. And I'm going to break the details. And I'm going to find the damage over here, and I'm going to connect that up. I'm going to collapse these. Let me get some space over here, like that. Now the event instigator, we don't care, but the damage causer, we're going to set to whoever fired this. So I'm going to type in self, because it's this actor, the master human that we are currently shooting from. And the damage type class doesn't matter, you can use the normal damage type. And if we do this, it means that we hit blood. So what actually I'm going to do, I'm going to create another event, because now you need to remember special effects like muzzle flashes or particle systems need to be on a multicast. So I'm going to type in multicast underscore play particle effect. Multicast, sorry, reliable. And so let's spawn an emitter attached, and let's connect all of these pins. Emitter attached to component, attached to point name, and then the location, we also want that. The rotation normally doesn't matter, neither the scale. And keep relative offset, we can snap the target and keep the world scale. I think that's it. Auto destroy, and that is okay. So let's try these settings, and now let's do MC play particle effects. The particle effect I'm going to do, so if this cast is true, means we hit the human, so you want to spawn some blood. So I'm gonna call this blood bullet hit. Let me just see that effect. So it's just a simple blood splatter. I don't know if that's gonna look too good, but you know, it's just for testing right now. The attach to component, we want to attach to the hit component. And the point name, the hit bone name, basically. And the location, well, is going to be the hit location. So that's going to be it. And if this is false, meaning we didn't hit a human, so we hit the world, we can cast another one of these. And I also have something over here, which is gun impacts. This is also from the marketplace, but we can just call this impact clay or something. Yeah, can be, that's fine. So I'm going to call this particle effect over here. The attached to component, it bone name, and the location. And we also need that, I forgot to let's get some space after this. And let's do another MC play effect. Now we need to spawn the particle system of the muzzle flash. So I'm gonna get something called muzzle 15 loop. I looped this muzzle effect. So I'm going to attach to component, which is going to be our weapon mesh. The attachment name, if you remember, we call it MF for muzzle flash in our sockets on our static mesh thingy. And the location, well, we want to get this location over here. Actually, no, the location we want to get from the weapon match. Get the socket location. And again, get MF. And connect that up. That's what we want, like that. Let's compile and save. And hopefully everything is working fine. So first of all, let's see is the server. Let's equip a weapon. There you go. And now we can fire. Okay, so I'm already seeing something. If you look over there in the right on the client 1 above the head of the player, the muzzle flash is spawning, well, in the wrong place, I guess. It's like above the player, something like that. And you can see that the effects are also playing in the wrong place. They are not in the correct location. I believe I get the wrong camera. That might be it. So I want this camera which is the ADS camera. I do not want this camera over here. So did I use the wrong camera? No, I used the right camera. Did I mess some code up? It's coming from the camera for the vector, multiplying it. Yeah, but the trace was working correctly. Is this because of the snap to target? Let me keep a relative offset. I don't think if it's because of that, but we can try it. Let's get that. No, there's something wrong. Let me turn on the line trace because I need to see what's happening. Let me go into full screen. Let me equip this. Okay, so okay, let me see if I named the, where is it? Not over here, over here. I need to see if I named the socket correctly. If I messed something up, it's going to the static mesh. It is called MF. Let's delete this. So that should be fine. Did I get the correct information? So the equipped weapon, the used weapon mesh, and the ADS camera is also working correctly. No, that's working correctly because, you know, the line trace is working fine, but it's the location of where things are spawning that's not working too well. So let me go and switch from this location to the impact point. I don't think it's because of that, but let's try it out either way because we need to debug this shit. There you go. So it's going a little bit to the right of the camera. And now it's not spawning at all. So I just messed this up. Sorry. Okay. That is so weird. Is it something over here? I'm not sure. No, let's not attach to any components. Let's just do a location. You can attach the component, but keep this location. And let's skip the world position. Let's try that out. There you go. Now it's working. That was the problem. So now we can shoot. You can see the muzzle flash doesn't really fit. And now you can see that the effects are playing in the right place, and the muzzle flash is spawning on the correct place as well. So let's see if this actually is replicating through the client. So can they see me fire? You can see the muzzle flash over there, and they can see the effects on the ground. So that's it. Let's get a weapon to the client, see if it works between the clients. Let's fire. So you can see, I can see the muzzle flash, and I can see the effects on the ground and on the client as well. Let me shoot against a person. Oh yeah, I need to check something over here in the trace. So I need to change the trace of the line trace for camera, because characters only block to the channel of the camera. So I need to change that. So now if I eat the character, let me over here, let me shoot someone. You can see now there's blood coming out and it is appearing on the server. Let's just rotate this guy, see if it's replicating. It is replicating. Now you can see that it is spawning on the capsule component itself. So you know, you can be completely missing the character and it still spawns. We can change that. Also, let me go into the master human, attach to point name. I also want to do this. There you go. Because now I need to go into our mesh, our capsule component, sorry, and I need to go into the collision presets. I'm going to go into custom, and now you can see that it's blocking the camera, so it's blocking the line trace. I'm going to set it to ignore as well, because I do not want to eat the capsule component, I want to eat the mesh. So you can see that now the camera is being blocked by the mesh itself. So now we should see us eating the actual blood or the skeletal mesh, and now it's also going to be calculating which bone it's eating, so you can have different damages per bone that we hit. So now we can actually eat the end of the player, and it's add. And if I bring a character over here to the side so you can see better, you can see you can see that we are eating the actual character and not the capsule component. And we are actually detecting, if you go over into the details, you have 8 bone name. Now this bone name is going to be getting if it's the spine, if it's the right leg, the left leg. So we can actually later on do a damage per bone instead of just applying the raw damage over here into the apply damage. We can do some calculation over here later on. I'm not gonna do that right now because there's no need. It's something that we can easily add in the future now that we have this working you know, against the skeletal mesh, not against the collision capsule. And I believe that's going to be it. The video is already half an hour, so I'm going to leave the actual calculation of, you know, subtracting bullets from the magazine and stuff to the next video. But we did some good work today. So let's give me some space for the next video, because now over here we're going to need to check if we have enough bullets for ammo and stuff like that. So let's compound, save, and yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.